Hello, everybody. I just wanted to go over a few little things that are kind of neat you can do in Google Classroom that may allow some of you that have a harder time transitioning your curriculum to the platform. It may allow you to kind of work around some of that and still have the traditional, worksheet type assignments, even though all the students will be doing them on Chromebooks. So what I've done here is make a dummy class just to show you guys how you would create an assignment if you wanted to, use those old type of worksheets. So we're going to go up to classwork and we are going to create an assignment. And now this is where I heard a lot of frustration earlier. If you try to do what you want to do in the instructions, you may have a bad time because it's just simply looking for a block of text. That way there's no problem formatting it on any of the different devices or anything like that. So you can't really make your text pretty. It's kind of annoying to, make different sections and things like that. So the best thing to do is generally create or add something from the Google Suite. Now, if you already have something made, you would just go to Add, of course. But if you want to create something, you just click Create here. And let's say you wanted to do an English type assignment. You would probably want to create a doc, which is, the closest thing. We're all used to Word. Uh, Docs is pretty much the same thing. So you can create a doc, and then each student will have access to that doc. So of course it'll bring it up here. So let's say you wanted to, just have some uh, questions that you wanted them to answer. You could put your question here. Uh, and you could leave a space. And if you do what I'm about to show you, your students will be able to edit these on their own. They could type theirs underneath these questions. Now, this is just a simple type of assignment. But what's important here is to make sure that after you're done creating your document, that you make a copy for each student when they go to the assignment. Now this is to the right, remember, and you just need to make sure they make a copy for each student, or else they're not going to be able to edit the file. And if you just simply let them edit the file, then a lot of different students may be editing the same document. I've had that happen to me before. But if you make a copy for each student will get their own set of questions and answers, and then they will be able to answer that. And then when they turn it in, and I'll show you that in a minute, what it looks like for the student, when they turn it in, they will only be turning in their copy. And so each student would get the copy with all the questions if this was the route you were going to go, but then their answers, of course, would be on their own document. Now, for traditional, the old worksheet types, what I've found is a nice workaround you can do in drawings. So you can create a Google drawing, and it will bring us to this menu. And now drawing is not the best. It's no Photoshop or anything like that, but it does have the ability to use shapes and colors and some lines and stuff like that. And the biggest thing I think for us is the text box option, and of course the shapes. But what you can do here is you can insert an image. So, for example, to make this work for your class, what you can do is take a picture of any old worksheets you have. And as long as it's a JPEG or a PNG, I believe, you can then upload that to your computer or your Google Drive and insert them into this program. And so I have an example one here, homophones. So I've inserted the image, and now you will see your students can do things like this. They can go to number 1, and let's say you want them to do a text box. They will bring this text box here. Last week I rode a horse along the trail in the mountains. Of course, that's rode. So you would put it here. The student would put that there, and now you have them doing a worksheet on Google Docs with no, or Google. They're Google Chromebooks, is what I'm trying to say, without any technical issues. Now, if you wanted them to perhaps circle it instead, they could definitely do that. My dog hurt his front paws, so you can make them circle it. And now you're always going to get this at the start. So this is something you want to watch. You need to go up to Format while you have the circle selected and go to Fill Color and change that to Transparent. And then so the students can circle, they can text box, whatever way you want them to complete your assignment, you should be able to do that in Google Drawings. As long as it's something, as simple as that. Now, if you want to give additional instructions, of course you could do that as well. Let's say you're the teacher, you may want to put over here, answer all the questions by circling the answer and using a text box to write on the blanks. You could tell that, you could put more and more on that if you wanted. You could tell them how much each question's worth. I mean, it's up to you. So I want to quickly show you how this looks to the student so we know that this is all working. So first, what you're going to do, and with most Google, actually all the Google Suite items, whenever you do something, it is saved. So I've deleted all those, so this should be saved. And we could name this Homophones Worksheet. Now, when I exit this, our post should update. Let's see if it's done so. It has. But of course, I'm having an issue renaming it there. We'll see if it could update whenever we make the post. I'm not real sure. So the big important thing, of course, is to make a copy for each student, or else everybody will be drawing on the same file, or they won't even be able to draw if they're just viewing the file. So let's make this assignment homophones. Then you could put more instructions if you wanted to. For the sake of time, I'm not going to do so. And we're going to assign this. So now, let's go to the student account I've made. We can go to this survey business class, find our assignment, and this is of course what your students will see. And I think it's a pretty good idea to have a dummy account just so you can see what your students see, because there can be some disconnect when you're giving instructions because we don't always, have the same interface up. But if we go to classwork, we can go to the homophones assignment. And let's see what happens here. We can open this up as a student and circle the correct word to complete the sentence. So I'm going to go over here just like we did and circle it. And we have the same issue to where we need to make that transparent. We can do so. We can also make the text box. And it looks a little goofy, but we'll do that. So let's see. Now we have road. We've completed number 1, and I'm going to be a lazy student and only do number 1. So now that I'm logged in as my student account, it should save whatever they do. So I'm going to exit this and see if it's saved. Now I'm going to click my assignment. This is what the kids need to do. They need to go ahead and turn it in after they're finished. If you'll notice, it already puts, since you made them a copy, it puts it in their work. They don't have to go find it, which is a godsend. If you've ever worked with Google Classroom before, the students can never find their assignments. But if you make a copy, when they click that assignment, their copy will already be there. So let's go ahead and turn this in. Now we can go back over here and make sure it worked for the teacher. One turned in. And let's see if those edits came through. And as you can see, the edits came through. So if I would have completed that whole worksheet before I turned it in, you would have been able to see all the students' work on the document. And now I've just found that this is a great way to, turn your traditional stuff into an easily accessible file that can easily and quickly be edited on the Chromebooks. You don't have to have any PDF editors or anything like that. Now the only issue with this is that you cannot do this with PDFs. You have to have an image. Now you can turn PDFs into images, or you could the easiest way for most of you, I would imagine, would be to simply take the picture, save the picture to your computer or Google Drive, and go from there. If you guys have any more questions about this, feel free to email nyates@westsiderebels.net.